The church wants us to reflect on our responsibility or our God-given moral duty towards the welfare of the church itself, towards the welfare of the ministers of the church or pastoral agents, wherever we are, wherever they are, that all of us have the responsibility, the moral responsibility, moral duty to ensure that the church has what it needs for it to function, for it to run properly, but also in a particular manner that the ministers of the word, the priests, seminarians, deacons, religious sisters and brothers, catechists, all those that have a part to play in the evangelizing ministry of the church, those that take an active part, that they have all they need for them to function properly. Yes, for sure the church needs prayers. Pastors, bishops, priests need prayers for them to work properly. But we also know that for them to get from, to move from point A to point B, they don't just need prayers, they also need fuel. Okay? For a priest to get to the hospital to go and anoint a person that is sick, that priest certainly needs prayers for him to move safely from that point to the other point. But he needs fuel as well, so that he can easily get to that place. He needs a vehicle. He needs a vehicle that is functioning properly. That priest, that bishop, that sister, that catechist also needs to eat. Kusebenza na njala, njala nchito siviendelana. Yeah. So, just to say that our ministers, pastoral agents, need not just the spiritual, the spiritual support, but also the material support, the physical support. Even Jesus, at his time when he ministered with his disciples, he needed physical support. He needed, material support, like we have heard from today's gospel. Jesus goes about ministering with his disciples, but he's not just alone with his disciples. There are also others who are doing or taking their role to ensure that the ministry goes on smoothly. And names have been mentioned in the gospel. The women, Mary called the Magdalene. There is Susanna. There is Joanna. And the gospel says, and many others, meaning that a lot of other people were part of the ministry of Jesus in many different ways. They may not have been in the limelight like the disciples of Jesus. Some of them may not even have been mentioned in the Bible like these that have been mentioned. But it suffices to say that a lot of many other people were part of the ministry of Jesus, doing their role or playing their role to ensure that the ministry that Jesus was doing with his disciples goes smoothly. There were people that were cooking for him and the disciples. Others were ensuring that Jesus was safe, security. Okay? Even though today's security for some men of God is exaggerated. Some men of God move with detailed security. It's like the whole president is moving. Yeah. But maybe even Jesus needed some kind of security. We don't know. At some point, Jesus was captured and was almost being thrown down the cliff. Maybe at that point, security was compromised. Security, yeah. But what point are we making? The point we're making is that for the ministry of Jesus to go on smoothly, many other people played their part, played their role. We can also do the same today. We do have people that are actively doing the work of evangelization wherever we are. And you don't even have to focus just on the Catholic Church. Even in other churches, many people are part of the ministry of Jesus, preaching. Some don't even have time to go and fend for themselves, meaning to go and do business so that their whole life is just ministry, meaning that for their welfare, they depend on the generosity of those that they minister to. parishioners or just well-wishers have a God-given moral duty to ensure that pastoral agents do their work smoothly. In the parish where you are, if you look around, check around, there are certain needs that you can actually even take up to say, babu ikapya pa church chat, babu yapi, just tell me. I'll be buying. Ikapya babu, is it first and tube? Ikapya, I'll be bringing. You can say, okay, I'll be buying fuel for Father. I'll be doing this. Be part of the ministry. You may not be in the limelight like those others that accompany Jesus on his journeys, but you are certainly doing your part. You are certainly, playing your role in the whole spectrum of evangelization. Sometimes we take a back bench. Sometimes we become indifferent. We don't even know whether the man of God has eaten or he hasn't eaten. It's not my business to know whether he has eaten or he has not eaten. We don't even want to know whether this man of God is depressed or is okay. All I care about is coming to church, to listen to the words, to attend mass and all that, and go back to my personal business. Whether Father is okay, is not okay, maybe that is his business. Yeah. You know that even the healer can be wounded. Not so, church. Yes. You agree with me, no? Mm-hmm. Even the healer can be wounded. Was it yesterday or the other day? I went to the mall here. What is this mall now? Pinnacle Mall here in Lusaka. So I was looking for something, and I walked into this shop, and I was wearing my collar. Yeah. So this shop attendant immediately thought I was a priest. I could have been a pastor or a papa or a prophet or something. Yeah. But anyway, this person immediately addressed me as Father. So something about me was fatherly. I don't know. So, Father. So this person was interested in our life as priests, okay? So he had questions, those curious questions. Then he asked me towards the end, after our conversation about this. Then towards the end, he was like, according to what we've discussed, this conversation that we've had in the past 5 minutes, you have said so much about you attending to people. You as a priest going to the hospital. You as a priest ensuring that everything is running smoothly in the parish. You as a priest ensuring that your children, your parishioners are okay, burying people, doing this, marrying people's children, and so on and so forth. You have talked so much about you attending to people, but who attends to you? I didn't see that question coming, Who attends to you? Because you are just as human as those. So sometimes you feel depressed. Who attends to your depression? Sometimes you have a funeral. You have lost a sister, a brother, or a father, or a mother, or a loved one. Who comes to console you? Sometimes you are sick. Who visits you to ensure that you have proper medication, you don't feel alone and all that? Who attends to you? I didn't know really what to say because for sure, many of our people think that a priest falls from heaven, so he doesn't have problems. A priest cannot be depressed. A priest cannot lose a loved one. A priest cannot, this. So the duty of the priest is just to attend to people. But I think the question that this person asked me was bordering on when the healer becomes wounded. Who heals the wounds of the healer? Jesus and his disciples had their own, dry moments in their ministry. Sometimes things didn't go as expected. Sometimes the going was tough. Towards the end, Jesus even had to carry his cross. The disciples later had to carry their own crosses in different ways. Some were martyred, others what and what. So much happened to them. During those drying moments during their ministry, who was there to support them? Who was there to ensure that they had whatever they needed for them to function properly? These are the questions that we need to be thinking about, especially as parishioners, as ordinary Christians who attend to our ministers whenever they are facing those dry moments in their lives. The ladies that we've been told about in today's gospel expressed availability. They were there to ensure that Jesus and his disciples are supported in their ministry. We can also take this role, not a passive role, not a role from a distance. Come close and do your part. Be an active member or an active participant in the whole ministry of the church by supporting those that need support, the ministers. It's not just priests or bishops. Some parishes have catechists, especially when you go out in the rural places. They have catechists. They have prayer leaders who ensure that everything is running smoothly when the priest is not there, who ensure that there's a service that people have prayed when the priest is not there, who ensure that the records are taken when people are baptized, etc., etc. How do we support them also? Do we feel morally compelled to give them support in whichever way? This is what we are reflecting on today. How much support do we give to the ministers of the church, to the pastoral agents of the church? As we conclude in a particular way, we would like to make mention of, or to appreciate especially our mothers. Not to say that our fathers don't do anything, no, but in a particular manner to appreciate our mothers for the work that they've been doing in the past few years across the country in many dioceses, raising money for the support of seminarians, raising money for the support of priests, to support vocations. It's not easy because they get from the little that they have, just as these women in today's gospel were taking from the little that they had to support the ministry of Jesus. Our mothers also take from the little that they have. Some of them are just marketeers, simple marketeers. Some of them don't even have any business at all. Some of them just bashoka chabe mirisi, parade side, vitumbua, goods parade side. From the little that they get from their small business, they bring to church to say, this is my seminarian fund. It's a huge sacrifice that cannot be appreciated. And we have seen that these contributions year after year, I think, continue rising in many places. Zimaenda zienda pamwamba in many places. This cannot be taken for granted. Also, our fathers do quite a lot, pastoral fund. I think they are also trying. Our fathers are also trying the pastoral fund, but it's still on the lower side if we have to compare with the seminarian fund. Yeah. But anyway, everybody is doing what they are doing according to the strength that they have. What we can only say is to encourage all of us to continue doing whatever we are doing, for that is a God-given duty. Supporting the church in whichever way that you can, supporting the church according to what you have. The women in the gospel supported the ministry of Jesus, providing for Jesus and the disciples out of their means, out of the little that they had. We cannot wait until we have abundance before we begin to support. The little that we have, when we support the church, we are actually giving back to God and saying thank you to God for the blessings that we receive from Him. Amen.